Welcome to Grateful Connections, What Gratitude Built, the podcast where women in business share the lessons, strategies, and gratitude behind their growth. Here's your host, Malinda, leading inspiring conversations that fuel your growth, spark gratitude, and remind you that you're not building your business alone.
Well, hello, everyone. I am so excited to welcome Daphne Paras to the Grateful Connections, What Gratitude Built podcast. So Daphne has been a major inspiration for me personally since I've met her. She is one of these extremely powerful, multifaceted entrepreneur who I think really kind of kicks ass out in the world. So I absolutely am so honored to have her in my personal circle and one of my cheerleaders. And clearly, I just love watching her succeed and grow with all of the things that she's doing. So Daphne is a multifaceted entrepreneur. She runs Sacred Seeker. She is a Toltec teacher. She's an inspirational woman who is soul led and has had a spiritual awakening, runs a company called The Collective Journey, which is a support community of soul led practitioners who are learning how to follow the business of Daphne. So she's the leader of that group. So Daphne, do you want to kind of tie that all together for us and tell
Well,
us
you
a
haven't
little
left
bit
anything
more?
for me to say. I'm just joking. Thank you,
Yeah,
Malinda, for having me
expand on
here.
that.
And
Yeah.
I love your mission of Grateful Connections, and it's so powerful. You know, I'm a huge fan of collaboration, especially supporting women. So, as
Yeah.
Malinda mentioned, I had a spiritual awakening 9.5 years ago, and it totally changed the trajectory of my life. And it led me down this path of being a spiritual teacher that led to be a firewalk instructor and sacred sexuality and corporate executive coach. And last year, I started investing a lot of time and energy in learning how to be an entrepreneur, not just posting signs at Starbucks and creating Facebook events. And last year was really pivotal for me as a business owner in changing my perspective from what success looked like. And that this year is kind of the fruits of the labor of last year.
That's awesome. So what do you mean the change of your opinion about being an entrepreneur? Like what did that represent for you?
Sure. So I was accepted onto a reality TV show, and it was
That's
for
awesome.
entrepreneurs, and it was a competition show. And I led with the Seeker, which is a sacred self-pleasure tool that I developed and invented so that women can own their anatomy. It's about physiology, empowerment, and pleasure. And I thought, hey, if they want to take me for this, I'll go. So I got
Yeah.
accepted. And when I went, I thought, okay, if Sacred Seeker can start making $250 a year, I would feel like a successful business owner. That was my definition. And with everything I learned that week, it ended up being, this intense business think tank training. I left that show saying, screw that. I actually want to build a legacy business that
Yeah.
my children and their children and their children can run. So it's just a huge perspective shift in what is the point of being a business owner and how to
Right.
do it. And I left being like, wow, I've been a really lazy entrepreneur.
Okay. What did that show you? I know you can't summarize it in like a couple minutes here, but the experience was obviously very powerful. So what would you say when you got to the end of that? Like you're like, other than it just being powerful in the fact that you want to create a business that's a legacy, what did you learn that helped spin that thought process for you?
Sure. So every day we had a different, like, 2 hour class that we would take. And then the competition was based off of that class. Like, we would have an assignment, and each day was a different topic. And the competition part was very challenging for me. And I was exhausted. It was like we were filming 14-hour days. But the education piece, like, one day it would be on, clarifying your message and sales funnels and SEO and beta testing ads, and where would you do your ads based on your business, and finding investors, and like all of these like basic how to's of running or starting or scaling a business that I had never learned. Like, no one taught me how to run a business.
mean, we all have, well, I shouldn't say we all, but those of us who want to start a business have that entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like we want to
Hmm.
do it. I personally want to stop paying, corporate America for my success and my drive. I want to make it for myself. But like you said, if I've never officially got the training, it's definitely a really big resource that you've been able to walk away with. That's awesome. So based on that, you of course are running multiple businesses. What is the key to that for you? Like how are you managing that? And do you want to build more businesses?
Yes, always.
You're addicted, right?
It's not even addicted. I found it's what fuels me.
Yeah,
And I need to have different facets. Even Sacred Seeker has the women's empowerment piece, the firewalking piece, the sexuality piece, the, professional speaking. It has all these different facets because let's face it, like we're multifaceted as humans. And I want to put my
absolutely.
energy where it's flowing. And some months it's like the fire, like I'm getting all these requests for private fire walks. And it's like, cool, this is hot right now. And then
Yeah,
sexuality will pop up and people will be like, oh, I want a workshop or I want this or I want that. So it's really about like always being in alignment with where my flow is. Now, the challenge of being a business owner with that is sometimes you still have tasks to do that might not feel totally in the flow. Like
right.
we have to wake
Yeah.
up and still
Somebody's going
do
to have to
things.
send you an email or something. Yeah, that takes you off track for
Exactly,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. When you are thinking about, because in the community that I know you in, we all see you as definitely as a leader. Tell me a little bit about your drive for leadership and I think maybe some of the experiences that got you to this point.
Sure. Being a leader to me, it's all about just living by example. Integrity is really important to me. When I had this awakening, I knew I was supposed to be a teacher. And I call myself more of a facilitator than a teacher because I feel like I'm always learning too. So I'm the teacher and the student, but it's about facilitating an energetic container and holding that. And with Collective Journey, I'm more of a teacher because I'm a little bit further down the path with the business training part that I can
That's
share with
huge.
others, but I'm still a business owner and I still like get to mastermind, which is really cool. So like I'm teaching the
Right.
things that I'm putting in place and there's some basics in business, but there's new things always, right? New technology,
Absolutely.
new social media platforms. So we always have to evolve. But I feel like very much of my mission is leading by example, showing people what is a soul led entrepreneur. Like, how do we stay in alignment with our purpose, with our mission, make money, have fun, live a good life, and repeat.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it really is because if you are literally following your passion and your soul and where you want to go, it's got to be a life. I mean, I'm not quite there yet, but it's definitely on my track of trying to get rid of the corporate thing, right? So that I can truly follow
Absolutely.
my soul because that is what makes you happy, but it also is with intention of serving other people. And when that's
Hmm.
part of your mission, it is, soul filling for sure.
Yes.
When you talk about your spiritual awakening, can you elaborate a little bit on that? And how does it affect your drive for business?
Sure, of course. The awakening happened after I climbed a pyramid. And I thought I was dying the next day. And I didn't really know what was happening. While I had intuition and some knowing of spirituality, this was like a slap in the face kind of experience times 100.
Yeah,
And all of these people started showing up in my orbit and telling me what was going on. And I really do believe like the universe provides what we need. And someone was like, oh, this is the midline point in your life. And when you're living out of alignment, the universe conspires to realign you. And that really stuck with me. And I was in a loveless marriage. I was very sad, very lonely, and I was a stay at home mom, which was, valuable in one sense, but very unfulfilling in some other senses. And
absolutely.
everything just like came crashing down for me. And it was pretty scary and pretty ugly. But again, all of these resources showed up for me, and I was held and supported, and I would say divinely led down all of these paths. And in the past, I would say that my superpower was being a bulldozer and that any obstacle in my way, I would just smash right through it. And
Sure.
after this awakening, something shifted inside of me where I was like, oh, the universe has my back. When it has a stop sign, I should stop. When it has a left turn sign, I should take that
You
left
follow.
turn. I shouldn't just
Yeah.
roll it down because that was my plan. And when I
Sure.
started following that flow and that intuition and that guidance, that's when everything was laid out in front of me. And that's what I mean by
That's
that
amazing.
soul led. It's like that
Sure.
alignment piece.
Were you an entrepreneur before that as well? Or was that literally the start of the drive for something bigger, better?
I had tidbits of it. I was with a network marketing company when my kids were really little, and I had a team of like 150 distributors, and I would do trainings
Okay.
all the time and weekly trainings for sidelines. So, like, I dabbled a little bit, and I was public speaking for the company. So, I knew I had these components. Before that, I had a master's degree in health education, and before that, I worked in radio TV. So, definitely not anything related to what I'm
To
doing
what
now.
you're that's just an incredible, right? It comes from this big, massive thing down to this streamline of just your success and seeing you make all these connections and impacting so many women. So it is amazing.
Thank
Um,
you.
I know one of the things that we talked about a little bit as well is that my big passion is just my grateful connections, right? I am truly
Hmm.
and insanely grateful for you and the connection I've made with you because you have awakened me to find, some drive and some passion and excitement and how you cheer me on. So I know that you had talked about your gratitude journey. I would love
Hmm.
to know a little bit more about your practices and how you incorporate gratitude into your personal life, but then also how does it affect your business?
Absolutely. Well, I believe everything in our personal life and our business life are interconnected.
Absolutely.
And when I first separated from my ex-husband, I was in disaster mind all the time. It was like, what am I going to do? What's the future going to look like? And I had a coach take me through a practice, like, how do we keep you in the present? And I was like, oh, it's gratitude. And so I instituted two different practices. One, I wrote gratitude on sticky notes and put them all over my house, like in my cupboard where I would get my mug in the morning to make my tea, in my bathroom, on my mirror where I would brush my teeth as
Totally.
accountability. And then I created a gratitude practice where on my calendar, every 30 minutes during awake hours, I would get a reminder and it would be a gratitude reminder. And I had a special little tone for it. And no matter what
Okay.
I was doing, wherever I was, I would stop, I would close my eyes, and I'd put my hand on my physical heart and push. And I would think of one thing that I was grateful for. And I was so disconnected from my heart at that point that I had to physically push on it to
Yeah, so you
feel
could
my
actually
heart.
feel what was there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
But
relate to that one for sure.
yeah, and what was so beautiful about it is I'd be like on a walk with a friend and it would like my reminder would go off and I'd be like, "Oh, would you like to join me in a moment of gratitude?" And everybody was like, "Yes." And so I would state something and they would state something and what happened is anytime my mind was in disaster mode, that would break the pattern. And what started happening was I would default to there when my mind would go disaster mind. Even if it was 5 minutes, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to gratitude.
Yeah, it reels you
And
in.
it would break that cycle for me. And so, we're talking 9 years ago. Now I don't need it. I mean, I still have some sticky notes up actually
Yeah,
from 9 years ago in my house, but I'm
love
trained
that.
enough to know to go back there if I get triggered or if I go into that disaster mind. But it was life altering for me. And there's several people I know that still use that practice that learned it, from being with me.
Yeah, I actually set you can get the reminders on your watch, like it says take a moment on your Apple Watch. So
Hmm.
I programmed it now to be every hour so that
I love it.
every time it dings on my watch, I'm like, okay, I don't necessarily grab onto my heart, but I might take that as a great, addition, right? To make it even more impactful. But I really am trying to break the cycle of the day of just being in the state of autopilot, right? Where it's like you're plugging
Hmm.
along and, it really is what happens when you do have a practice of gratitude, it does rewire your brain, right? To think
Hmm.
about those positive moments in those moments when you literally don't think, like when you're super stressed or sleepless nights. It's like sometimes just being able to reset and rethink about it and put gratitude into something, it really does put you into a better space. So I love that so much. If you could wave a magic wand and create one thing for women in business, what would that be?
Alignment.
Yeah. And how do you define that? What does that mean for you?
That means that they're living their life's purpose through their work. I believe we're each sent here with a very specific set of gifts to serve the world. And when we're using those gifts, then we're living our life's purpose and we're impacting the most amount of people. So let's say someone's an accountant, but they've always dreamed of being a singer.
Yeah.
They're just an accountant every day for the rest of their life because they make good money and but like in their heart, they're like, I really want to
To
be
do
a
this.
singer. It's
Yeah.
like if I could wave a wand and let everybody live that alignment, that passion, that fire that burns within them, imagine how happy our world would be. Like if
Right.
everyone was doing what lit them up, like truly.
So how do you, to some people, they don't even really know. I mean, I've had this conversation with people before, right? Where I'm like, what are you passionate about? What would you do if you could, if money wasn't an object, or if you could do it for free? Like, what would you do? And some people are just like, I don't know. I guess I'm doing it
Hmm.
now. So do you have any ideas for people to kind of think that through in terms of, where do they go if they want to do that? As you and I know, when you're talking to photographers or people who are have a passion based business, a lot of times they have no idea about how to turn it into a business or what to do
Hmm.
next, or taking that fear of doing it and the fear of failure, right? I mean, there's so many reasons that we stay stuck in those corporate jobs that we're just plugging away doing our thing, right? So what are
Hmm.
some tips that you have to help people either fine tune to find their passion in their heart, and then also maybe a couple tips on what it would take to turn it into action? Because I think that is a big step for a lot of people to avoid.
Yeah, of course. First, we were just talking about this even with gratitude. Most of us spend most of our time up here in our head. And our heads are amazing computers, but it's not where the magic happens. And across the board, most of my modalities are about bringing people back into their body, back into their heart space. So you've been to one of my fire walks before. I'm
Yeah, I was
like,
going
get
to
out of
ask
the
to expand
fear.
on that. Yeah,
It's in your head. Let's move into the wisdom that's in our body. And it's not our fault. Like our culture is conditioning us this way. Our creativity is dampened the second we go to public school. Like it's a whole system that feeds us to where we're at now. So no one's doing anything wrong by not knowing what their alignment is. Like it took me
sure.
almost dying to wake up to mine. Start with doing small things that light you up. Like find something that lights you up and do more of it. Even if it's cleaning your house, like anything that
Right.
lights you up. Because what happens is as we get more and more lit up, we feel better, our energy changes, our vibration changes, and we feel better and better and better. And that's that alignment piece I was talking about. We start coming into alignment. So explore what you like and re-explore what you like. Like
And
I'm a
probably try
huge fan.
25 different things, right? Because
It could
sometimes
be.
you might be interested in, like with me, I love my photography, but then through this path, I discovered like, well, I still love photography, but oh my gosh, huge group of women and cheering each other on, like that lights me up 1,000 times more than what I thought it was
Hmm.
going to be, right? When I thought, well, I'm
Yeah.
just going to take photos of women because I still want to empower them. But really, where my heart is lit up is I want to do it bigger, better, stronger, and way more intentional.
Hmm.
So it is, I
So
think,
I'm
a
a,
lot
I'm a
of trial
huge
and
fan
error.
of like running experiments. And
Sure.
like when I separated from my husband and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost 40 years old and I've spent all these years raising my kids. Like, I don't even know what I like anymore. I had Friday night date nights where I dated myself and I took a
That's
Zumba
cute.
class. I didn't take a second one, but I would like
I'm sure you looked adorable doing it.
but like I would rent a scary movie or cook something or take myself out to dinner or go on a trip alone. Oh my gosh, I went on a ski trip all by myself. And really like who am I at this stage in my life? Because I mean, we could change by the minute, but certainly by the year, by the decade. And so
Absolutely.
many of us just get into these roles of this is who I am, and we don't give ourselves the permission to evolve. So, yeah, first tip is like do more of what lights you up, like, period.
That's
And
great.
like follow the universal signs. If the universe tells you to go left, go left. Don't be like, no, I'm going right this time. Because
Right.
you're going to be against the flow.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I can even remember just knowing there was a period of time where I was just in this big funk and I didn't know what it was. And so I'm like, why am I feeling like this? I'd recently gotten married to a wonderful man who adores me and treats me amazing. And, I was doing well in my job, but I was like, what is wrong? And so I
Mm-hmm.
did literally, I sat in my car. I was driving, to a client visit actually in Indiana. And I sat in the car for 3 hours with no music, no podcast, like literally just being and thinking
Mm-hmm.
and whatever. And when I met with one of my colleagues and we were talking about just this whole thing, and he was telling me about this book, The Power of One More by Ed Milet. And it is such a powerful book because it is talking about, again, the power of one more is, well, if you fail or if you need to pivot or, the successful people don't give up on that last phone call, right? If you're in sales or that last attempt on finding out what it is. So even in that moment of, well, I failed, I need to pivot, well, take one more step, do one more thing, try the next thing. And when I was talking to him about that, and he was going through the different pillars of what the power of one more entails, when he hit this concept of community, that is literally, I felt the explosion in my heart. Like I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm missing. That is what I need in my life. Like I knew it right then. And then it just kind of started me thinking about how to build a community or how to empower other women and make it a bigger concept than just taking their photos and here you go, right?
Well,
So
that
it
was
is,
actually going to be my third recommendation was surround yourself with people that lift you up. And
it's
that's
huge.
community. Because
Yeah.
if you're surrounded with people that are dampening you all the time, you're never going to figure out what your purpose is. You're never going to feel lit up. But being in a room full of energetic, aligned other individuals, it
It's
lights you up.
magical. It
You
is. It's
know,
magical, right?
it
Because
is.
when you are around, there is that saying: if you are most like the five people that you surround yourself around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when there's mental health issues or depression or uncertainty or being in unhappy marriages or being in careers that aren't happy, as soon as if you start to hang out with people who are also in those spaces, you just kind of spin down, right? But when you are around people who have the same mission and want to cheer each other on, there really is nothing like it between your events and the events that I've had. Like being just the energy, you can actually feel it. And so that does keep you motivated, right? And in
Absolutely.
asking other people what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then take a lot of that on as well.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about your history and of your success so far, what are the tools that you have found that are the most successful for you? Whether it's time, money, energy, like what are some of those tools that you can recommend to other people to say, like, this really helped me get to this place?
A big part of my success has been tapping into a higher source. And that's like listening to that divine guidance piece and not pushing through it, being that bulldozer. Like I've canceled a retreat, I've canceled a fire walk, I've postponed things when like things aren't going well. The old Daphne would have just like pushed through and been like, we're doing this anyway. And I really believe like when we get enough messages, we got to listen
Yeah.
and stop
Can you give
pushing
an
through.
example of what, like, for those of us who aren't in the exact same place that you are with the divine led and you feel really drawn to do what you're doing, what are some signs, that
Yeah.
are when you say, like,
So
when I'm
it's really
used to
easy.
bulldoze?
It's really easy to tap into your intuition. Like if I ask you, can I cut your foot off? What would you say?
No, thank you.
Right. So why?
Right.
Okay, like
Yeah.
your body is like, no, you're not going to cut my foot off. So let's
Sure.
say you're planning an event and all of a sudden all these things are going wrong and you're a month out and the contract's messed up and your speaker can't commit or and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, like you zoom out, it's like the eagle view and you're like, this is a hot mess.
Yeah.
And instead of being like, no, I'm making this happen. This is going to happen. I have to
Right.
have this speaker. I have to have this topic. I have to have this venue. That's when we're bulldozing. Instead of being like, okay, let me pause. Let me take a step
Yeah.
back and look at how I can pivot to stay in alignment. And you start getting curious about other paths. Could I have a different speaker? Could I switch speakers? Let me make that call. Because that's what, I mean, when I had Got Us Elevated, I had like
Yeah.
3 speakers cancel the day before. And I had like
Yeah.
One
My
couldn't fly in
gosh.
from Israel, one got COVID, one was in the hospital with the flu. And I was like, all right, pivot, pivot, pivot. What are we
And you did an
doing?
amazing job. I mean, I know you got people on stage that weren't expecting to be on stage, and
Yes.
it was incredible. Yeah.
And at that point, I
That's
couldn't
awesome.
shut it down. It was a day
Yeah.
before. So I'm just
Right.
simply pivoting, but like getting curious and like really taking care of yourself. And what I mean is you're sleeping, you're eating, you're taking care of yourself better than you're taking care of your business. Because so many entrepreneurs like think, oh my gosh, I'm starting up. I got to do this 80 hours a week. And you get burnt out, your energy gets low, you get sick, and it's not sustainable. And I love like scheduling time on my calendar where I can go for a walk or mow the lawn or take a nap where I'm like, no, I'm busy. And
Yeah.
I am busy because I've committed the time
Just
to
for
me.
you.
And
That's
then I would
amazing.
also say finding mentors, finding people that are role models in your industry that you can energetically and physically learn from. Like, how did you do it? But even just overall, like other successful people, hanging around them, learning
It's
from
huge.
them. I have mentors that I work with. And when I feel misaligned, it's like, hey, I'm feeling really misaligned. Like, can you process this with me?
That's
And I have a
great.
few people I really trust to help me get back to center and to help me recalibrate, reevaluate, pivot, bounce things off of. I just did a Facebook post this morning, like, is your agreement ripe or not? And it's like when you get triggered and mad, who do you call? Is it the person that gets you fired up, that pours the fuel on it and says, where do we bury the body? Or are they the person that's like, hey, sweetheart, like, I've seen this a few times. This is kind of one of your patterns. Like, I love you. Can I help you look at this through a different lens and hold you accountable? And
Amazing.
we know where we're at with who we reach for to text or call. Like, do we want to
Yeah.
burn it down or do we actually want to learn and grow through it?
That's absolutely true. And I do think, with both the collective journey and with Grateful Connections, I think we both really know that you can't do your life in a silo or alone. And so,
Exactly.
whether it's business or your personal life, just knowing that you're surrounded by other people, I just think community in general is the key to so much success because you can learn from other people, you can bounce ideas, but you really just want to feel supported. And, when you're doing it all alone, it seems very overwhelming. So definitely
And
committing to,
lonely. And we're not meant to
yes,
be alone.
no, I'm an extrovert. I need, I need as much connection with people as I could possibly get. So, okay. So I have one last question for you. If you could go back in time to the very beginning of your entrepreneurial journey and think about some of the things you've stumbled on and some of the problems that you've solved with what you know now, do you have any thoughts about what you could have done differently or, could have given your younger self advice on?
Absolutely. I would have learned how to be an entrepreneur. I would have learned the business building tools on how to build sales funnels, how to market myself, how to run a business. And of course, I wouldn't do anything differently because it's turned out exactly as it is. But that's so much of why I started the collective journey because I'm like, wow, if I had these tools 9.5 years ago and
Where
someone
could you
taught me
be?
these, where would I be now?
Right.
That's creating real impact. I mean, obviously, I'm on a mission to change people's lives with everything I do, but if I can help business owners, solid entrepreneurs shorten that learning time and get them up and running quicker, and they're each impacting their own community as well,
It's huge.
like we're talking unlimited positive impact on the world of people living in alignment and living in their joy and lighting other people up. And again, like, where would we be in the world if everyone lived that
More
way?
people were like that. Yeah, I absolutely love that. So, Daphne, as we wrap up, give us an idea of where we can find you. I know you have multiple businesses, but break them down a little bit and tell us where we can find you on those for
Absolutely.
those
So my personal
opportunities.
brand is Sacred Seeker. Sacredseeker.com is the website. You can also find me on social media, LinkedIn under Daphne Paras. And then thecollectivejourney.org is the Collective Journey website. Both businesses have Facebook pages. I'm always open to connecting to people, to learning more about them. So feel free to reach out if anything sparked a connection for you or you want to go deeper. And you can also find me later in the month at Malinda's event. I'll let you share those details if you want.
Well, Daphne is going to be my keynote speaker at the end of August here. So I'm extremely honored. And we're really just going to be able to hype women up and let them find their voice to be able to speak for what they need and what they want in their business and in their lives. And so there's nobody better that I can think about to lead that conversation than you, Daphne. And again,
Thank
I
you.
genuinely appreciate you and what you've done for me. And our connection is literally one of my top faves in this whole journey that I've been on. So thank you for everything and for joining this call with me today.
Thank you so much. It's such an
All
honor
right.
to be here and to know you.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to subscribe so you never miss a conversation. You can find me at gratefulconnections.com, join our private Facebook group, Grateful Connections, and follow me on Instagram at gratefulconnections_co. Sharing is an act of gratitude, so please pass this along to another woman in business who inspires you.
We're so grateful you joined us on What Gratitude Built. We grow stronger when we grow together. So stay connected, stay inspired, and let gratitude lead the way in your business and your life.